Over to camera here.
All right, here are your finals. Starts the open between Brandon Chreptyk, Blue-White Delver, and Craig Wescoe, Black-White Tokens. Remember, as a recap, we had a bunch of Delver in the top 8. We had 5 decks in the top 8. A lot of pros coming from the Grand Prix. We had Tom Ma and David Scharfman, both of them falling to other Blue-White Delver decks.
Yep. I'd also be interested to see if we've ever had this many Pro Tour top 8 competitors in an open top 8.
3 is a pretty hard number to beat.
Right.
I don't know if there were that many of them in the Grand Prix top 8.
Yeah, three's a lot. I was about to say 3's a lot for a Grand Prix, much less an open, so it's pretty impressive.
I think we only had one. I think Tom Martell had one in the Grand Prix, but I think that was it of the competitors who were in the top 8. All right, so both are discussing. And remember, it's like we've made the switch here where seeding determines who gets to be on the play and who gets to be on the draw.
Yep.
In this case, Craig Wescoe, the 4th seed, Brandon Chreptyk, the 2nd seed. Brandon will get to be on the play here. Sure.
So how does the new seeding rule affect how you would approach a top 8? What kind of if you're in a position where win and you're first seed for sure and lose and there's a chance you bubble out at 8th versus 9th?
What happened? I mean, as we said, what happened in the Grand Prix, table 1, Tom Martell, in with a win, in with a draw, in with a loss. His opponent, in with a draw, in with a win, 9th with a loss. And Tom decided to play it out because Tom's playing Delver. He knew the top 8 would be very Delver heavy. It's a matchup where the die roll matters. He wanted to have that home field advantage throughout the top 8. Chose to play, won, and it did affect a lot of things.
For sure.
I think especially as we get into more formats which are really play dependent. Say for example Legacy or Delver Mirrors. That's pretty important. I don't think anyone will put their top 8 life at risk to play it. If you certainly, it's better to top 8 than to risk not top 8ing. But I think for those players, table 1, maybe not draw as much.
So are we, should be moving the camera over on top of the match momentarily?
Yep. Turn 1, Ponder. We have
Brandon Chreptyk looking like he has a very land-heavy hand from what I can tell.
So we had actually Wescoe on the play, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so we weren't doing seeding for this, apparently. All right, we didn't do seeding for this event. So Craig Wescoe winning the die roll. And Gather the Townsfolk comes out. So Craig Wescoe being able to sneak
Delver?
Sneak Gather Townsfolk under a mana leak. Delver Ponder again. Needs the Delver to flip. Land, another Delver, and third card is
a Thought Scour.
Okay, so he'll put the Thought Scour second from the top.
Yep.
Draws the Delver. And then actually he doesn't have to draw the land if he doesn't want to. So
right.
Once again, the power of Ponder there, really good.
Ponder plus Thought Scour. A lot of little subtle stuff going on.
Even Delver plus Thought Scour, because there's that window after the reveal where you're allowed to mill yourself, which is pretty good. Thought Scour with such a low investment card, it's really a great place to be for it. So Craig building his army here, and this is the thing where the Black-White Tokens is so well situated. It's very hard for Brandon to deal with all these things.
Yep. The deck is very good at answering one mid-rangey sort of threat at a time. A sea of tokens is much more challenging for the Delver deck. At least 2 more lands in Chreptyk's hand, and
so Delver Secret's attacking. Craig Wescoe.
I'm assuming we're going to decline to block.
We're just kind of block. I mean, so Brandon's determined that he wants this to be a race. There's actually a good argument made to block here. I mean, he doesn't because of the possibility of Vapor Snag, but actually blocking, he does have more Lingering Souls. It's very possible he would do that were, say, Chreptyk tapped out or something. As it is,
It looks like Wescoe has a Vault of the Archangel in his hand too, which could be a dramatic swing. I don't think he has a 5th land just yet.
Yeah, so he can't hide that play. He's going to have to let Brandon know that play exists. He may try to bait out a mana leak here. If he casts his Honor of the Pure, Brandon's going to have to counter that.
Well, what you can do is start by going Flashback Lingering Souls.
Right.
And if that gets a leak, then you can go land Honor, but I think Wescoe's not...
It looks like, no, I think he's agreeing with that. So, okay, here's the test spell.
There.
Do I get more of these? Yes or no? And it's fine.
Resolve. So it's very likely that Honor of the Pure is good here because that play is good enough to induce a mana
especially because of, I think, the body language on Brandon. He kept his hand on the table. Craig declares the spell. Brandon says it resolves without even picking his hand up off the table. Either Brandon's great at body language. So swinging for just so Craig decides though. Interesting. He swings first, and he's just going to gather the Townsfolk post combat. Yep. And the problem is actually with Vault and this many tokens in play, Craig doesn't need an Anthem.
Yep.
The Vault's just a massive life gain spell, and there's actually no real way in Brandon's deck he can. I don't think he can answer 8 tokens. Like, they will kill him. The matter is not if. The question is not if, it's when will he get killed by 8 tokens. You know, he doesn't have Ratchet Bomb. All right, Moorland Haunt. Really, just though, both decks operating on different levels. Craig Wescoe looks like he'll pull this out.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like for the Delver deck, the Delver deck is actually just kind of. It's still. The draw is still doing its thing. It's still a Delver draw, but he's actually spent a lot of mana just kind of not doing anything. Just
right,
sort of
Ponder, Thought Scour. These are just 1 mana blue cantrips.
Just diddling around with the top of his deck or whatever. And Wescoe's just like,
Wescoe's like, okay, well, that's all very impressive. I'll cast more creatures. He's gonna flashback a Ponder, but the question is, I don't know what he's looking for.
Yeah, it's not really clear. And now Wescoe definitely just gets to honor the Pyramid to the Stone Age here. So
yeah, should be over on the next turn.
Should be wrapped up pretty fast.
All right, so draw Wescoe. Yeah, 1 mana open. Let's do this.
All right.
Honor the Pier.
So
I gotcha. I think he does. He's gonna make sure he hasn't.
Even let him block.
Lowering the blocker.
Yeah, and that's
8. So that's 16. 1 block, 14 damage. Very convenient.
So a snag keeps him alive for a turn, and then he just.
All right.
We're done.
Even with the snag, why do you know?
Right.
This is.
So it's okay. You get this one. We'll find another day.
All right, so between games, Craig Wescoe up right now, 1-0 in the finals over Brandon Chreptyk. All right, so our trivia question for you.
Quick notation.
Yeah, we were talking about this not too long ago, so if you just joined us, you might have to do a little bit of research on your own. If you're following us, you should be just fine. One of the more star-studded Star City top 8s. Right now, we have some good players playing in the finals, but we had actually 3 players with Pro Tour top 8s in the top 8 of the Star City Open here in Salt Lake City. Our question for you and the prize is to name 2 of the 3 of those players.
Any 2 of the 3.
And tweet it with the hashtag SCG Premium, which you can see on the bottom of your screen here. Now, if they do that, what do they end up getting?
I believe the prize is a It's a 4-day Gen Con badge.
So
the 4 best days in gaming. That's what Gen Con claims, at least, and I can confirm.
I would agree.
Many years in a row. It's in Indianapolis. I don't have the exact. I believe it's in July.
It's actually this year. It's later than normal. It's I believe the 3rd weekend in August.
Oh, okay. It's a little bit further back.
Yeah. But, so for those of you who normally go every year, it's normally the 1st weekend in August. It's a little bit later. Easily one of the best things you can go to.
Gen Con is insane even if you're just a Magic player. There's a million different tournaments going on. If you're in any sort of gaming at all outside of that, if you're into, like role-playing or tabletop games, whatever, there's infinite stuff to do there. Plus, Indianapolis, downtown Indianapolis is one of the most fun cities, I think, in America, and it really comes alive for Gen Con.
And for Gen Con, the whole city kind of transforms into the into the game atmosphere,
Yeah.
and a lot of the shops redo their decorations.
Yeah.
Really a great
So
time.
the dining's awesome down there. The movie theater changes its the showings into a lot of like Star Wars and sort of classic sci-fi fantasy type showings. There's a spot called Nikki Blaine's if you're into cigars and cognac like I am. I mean, Indianapolis offers it all. So definitely try to check out Gen Con if you can, and the easiest way to do it is by just tweeting us the correct answer. Name any 2 of the 3 of our standard top 8 competitors with a Pro Tour top 8. So Wescoe quickly up a game, just again confirming his opponent's sideboard and main deck real quick. You're allowed to view those notes in between games during the elimination rounds. He's got to feel pretty comfortable knowing his opponent doesn't have access to Ratchet Bomb, which his top 4 opponent did, which could have been a huge breaker in that matchup.
Right. Wescoe appears to be keeping a 7, and Chreptyk shuffling. Is he on? I believe he's on a 6.
Yeah, Chreptyk looks like he's going back.
All
Wescoe, no, oh, never mind.
Sorry. Okay. No, they're still
just
shuffling each
sideboarding.
other.
Oh,
Okay.
they're just sideboarding.
Never mind. Our
Sure.
apologies. All right. So, yeah, both players have sideboarding in it. We talked a little bit about the sideboarding options, which Craig Wescoe has. Last time against Blue 8 Tokens, we saw him side in Day of Judgment. Kind of a concession to the fact that I think a quick Geist of St. Traft is something that he might have trouble answering if it's backed up by a little bit of disruption.
He also, and what he displayed in a lot of these games is also he has a fair degree of inevitability. Like, it's very hard for him to lose a long game because he has so many things that are 2-for-1s or 4-for-1s in the case of Lingering Souls, and over time the Delver deck is just drawing a lot of low impact cards. They're drawing mana leaks, and Wescoe's making these land drops. They're drawing these gut shots and mutagenic growths and vapor snags. So I think Wescoe feels confident that he can win any sort of long game against the Delver deck, so it's just hedging against the short games.
This is the case with Delver in a lot of matchups. It doesn't actually go late very well. Eventually Delver loses its hold on things. Its best late game plan is, that's actually where the equipment usually comes into play. It's probably the only inevitable, they're like kind of big powerful late game that you see out of a blue-white Delver deck. All their other answers and methods, kind of just decrease in effectiveness as the turns keep going.
Right. So yeah, I don't know if Wescoe will actually. I don't know if you could deem it going overboard. Certainly, the game 3 of the top 4 matchup is his hand was like comically jammed up with reactive cards, but it's possible that he feels that he just needs to stave off the early action, and he can just overtake the game with his powerful 2-for-1s.
And Brandon, especially those doomed travelers. Oh man.
Right. Yeah, I assume, I guess at this point, because we've seen him play these games that have dragged out for so long, I'm assuming Wescoe has cut his Hero Blade holds in this matchup.
Yeah, Hero Blade hold. I mean,
it's also a weird pairing with Day of Judgment.
There's only so many 4-mana sorceries you want against Delver. Usually that number is around 0.
Right.
So I don't think I'd want 7. When you see Day of Judgment out of them, I think it's pretty safe to assume there's no Hero of Blade hold.
Okay.
Delver's Secrets out of Brandon. And I kind of like
champion?
Yeah, I didn't. Brandon doing the unconventional.
There's a gut shot. So Chreptyk has kept in his gut shots against Wescoe, hedging against the.
Yeah, I like how he plays with his creatures behind his lands. I remember when I first learned to play, like that was how a lot of players did that. It's, I don't know, it's kind of reminiscent for me. But yeah, gut shot. Sure. That's its best target in the deck. As we saw last time, where gut shot ended up eating both halves of a doomed traveler, but.
So he pondered, kept, and has a second Delver, so you have to assume that
you're
he's
going to
be flipping.
Especially the speed with which he does it. And this is one of the terrifying starts of Delver, where, wow, I'm going to make 2... I'm going to answer your turn 1... I'm going to kill your 1-drop and make 2 3/2s for 1. Wescoe's own champion of the parish, and a Doomed Traveler, putting a counter on it. But this is very hard to race, especially if If the card
And Wescoe also has no black
Vapor
mana,
Snag.
no black mana, and no third source of mana also. So he needs to basically draw Swamp or Isolated Chapel like this turn
Yeah.
to be able to keep his head above the water.
all it really takes is a mana leak out of Chreptyk to make this
And he
almost
has
unwinnable for
He
Wescoe.
actually has a mana leak in hand. His hand is now
Mana leak,
land Vapor Snag. That he
land,
just
mana
removed.
leak, Vapor Snag.
Yep.
This is a very hard board for Craig to
So we
win
need a
out of.
black source. Like okay,
Alright,
that's an
there we
Isolated
go.
Chapel. That's the starting point.
But that said, Cryptic can probably, just between the two spells in his hand, I can almost close through,
Right.
6 damage, and this is where Delver just shines, 6 damage this early in the game, that's zoo style quality.
Right.
Like, but you're playing blue.
Right. So Wescoe, I think debating between Midnight Haunting and Go for the Throat.
Yeah, and Wescoe definitely a big believer in, little information as possible, not playing the land until he's already made his attacks. What he can do is pass the turn here, which I think is probably the correct play to
Does
do.
he have Souls in his hand?
He has a Haunting, a Spell Bomb, and a Go for the Throat. He's going to go with the Spell Bomb, actually.
Yeah, so I think he's committed to casting Go for the Throat.
Right, it's which he'll do. He'll try to overload Brandon's mana by, upkeep.
Right.
Go for the Throating.
This is another play that.
Upkeep, because he doesn't want Cryptic drawing the card, but he does want Cryptic losing his mana.
Right. If you cast the Go for the Throat right there, and Brandon decides to Vapor Snag his own guy or mana leak, then Brandon gets to go into his turn with all of his mana available to him.
Yeah. So he drops Craig Wescoe to 7, which remember he does have the Vapor Snag. Which
Yeah,
is we're in lethal next turn.
Right.
Wescoe will need a Lingering Souls. He does have Midnight Haunting and Lingering Souls in honor of the Peer, so he'll have to get it to resolve.
A hand that would have likely gotten it done on the play, but on the draw he's just so far behind.
Well, especially because right here, what you can see out of Cryptic, he can Vapor Snag half the Lingering Souls, which is probably fine. Get in a fair amount of damage. The biggest problem is that if he snags one, Craig will be forced to chump block, and
yeah, he's just in the abyss at that point because he's going to fall to 3.
And even when he flashes it back, it's still the abyss. Corrosive Gale.
Okay, that makes it a little simpler.
For 1, pretty good.
And Gut Shot.
And Gut Shot. And Vapor Snag, just for the rubbins.
Yeah, we have everything.
At that point, I don't like Corrosive Gale, because you've already won. He knows you're playing Gut Shot. Why not just Gut Shot Vapor Snag? Don't show him the Corrosive Gale.
Right.
But nonetheless, really shows the power of Delver of Secrets going to Game 3. Okay, wait, never mind. They have each other's deck lists. Corrosive Gale is just fine. What am I talking about? My apologies.
I mean, maybe it's still a mystery if he brought it in or not, but I would have to assume that if this is in your sideboard, I guess
is the deck it's for.
Yeah. So going off to a third game, and very obviously these games are super tempo oriented. So
and that's the kind of draw which out of Delver, which it's very hard for really anyone to beat.
Right. I mean, in fairness, you could just have a couple shocks and break up that draw pretty easily.
Right, but you have to, yeah. So I mean, it's beatable, but very
the
powerful.
issue is that so much of the other deck is working on this different axis of hexproof or Moorland Haunt. The rest of the deck is so well set up against spot removal that it's hard to rationalize playing a bunch of Go for the Throats and shocks or whatever else you need to break up that draw, because it's so bad against the rest of the pieces. And then you have a draw like that where it's if you had a couple spot removal spells, that draw you would have been able to handle that draw fine. So the mixing and matching that you need to do to be able to fight the Delver draws is just a challenging deck building exercise, and a lot of decks just can't do it. So you still did not answer my question before.
All right,
which is, how much information do you need to feel like Wizards or the powers that be need to take action over the format? And if so, what card or cards would you target? I have one card in mind. I have an answer already.
all right. I feel like I know the answer, but
Okay.
we'll stay around for it. I need to see. Well, I need to see. I think. A stale metagame without few options. Repeated results of so say we had 5 in our top 8 today. If that continues to happen, we need to see it at the PTQ level, at the grassroots level, that continuing to happen, and it's starting to affect attendance. And if there's no reprieve insight, then to say the new set comes out and there's nothing to answer Delver in it, then I think action needs to be taken. We've already established that, we're really trying to promote the game to be fun at this point. And what card do you do? And so that would show me something that's not fun. That's something that we need to address. How would you get rid of these sorts of things? It's a little bit of it's a trickier question. If you want to make the deck not exist, I think the answer is Snapcaster Mage.
Okay.
Though the biggest problem about Snapcaster Mage, from a standpoint, it's a pretty iconic card. It's an invitational card. It's one of the more iconic cards out of Innistrad, and you really
also people spent $25
people spend
on it.
$25 on it. They have $100 on a playset. You don't want to. The cool part about banning things, something like Intangible Virtue, is it's very fringe. When you wanted to ban a combo in Modern, you banned Sword of the Meek. This is this card doesn't mean anything. It's just a combo, part of this degenerate combo. So I don't want to ban Snapcaster Mage for that reason.
My vote would be I would ban one card and one card only. I would ban Ponder. I think that it adds a ton of consistency to these decks, not just this deck, but other blue control decks.
Sure.
Its specific interaction with Delver of Secrets is a large part of the power level of this deck. It's insane with Snapcaster Mage, and I think a big part of the reason this deck puts up the results that it puts up is that Ponder just means you're just land screwed less often than your opponent is over the course of your games. You're curving out more consistently in the course of your games. It also preserves you can still build a deck with Delver of Secrets. You just don't have this free roll utility.
Now we've noticed with especially with Modern, where we banned Preordain and Ponder, are those effects just we've known Brainstorm originally thought an okay card, slowly moved up the chain till it was the best card in Legacy, and now Preordain, originally inconspicuous, suddenly everyone realized Preordain's a fantastic card. Yep. Are these 1-mana blue selection spells just in general better cards than people thought?
I think certainly they add a bunch of consistency, and when there's other issues, then you have some problems.
All right.
So Wescoe starting off strong with a champion into an Honor the Pure. Cryptic having a turn 1 Delver flip, revealing a Dissipate.
The turn 1 Delver flip still very, very powerful here. So Craig has managed to land a lot of some of the things he really needs to land.
And Wescoe again, just no third land in hand. Although I think his hand is a little bit better suited.
Actually, he has the Hero Blade Holds here. One of our questions was what he had done. Makes me wonder if he's changed his sideboarding plan since the semifinals.
On the play versus on the draw.
Yeah, gets his third land. Now I did ask Craig Wescoe in this tournament, why he's not playing blue-white, which tends to be his one of his iconic decks. It's possible this deck he's new with. His answer was, well, I went 4-3 with blue-white yesterday, so I had played blue-black or white-black today.
All right, so that Lingering Souls is going to get hit with a Mana Leak. Much more attractive to Mana Leak that thing than normal, as Wescoe does not have black mana yet. So you're actually trading 1-for-1 for the time being.
Cryptyk draws a Rune Chanter's Pike, I believe.
Yep. So his hand is Dissipate, Pike, at least 2 lands.
Yeah, no real reason for Cryptyk to make any sort of play here.
Right, he's just going to sit on Dissipate.
And then, maybe one turn if he draws one. Okay.
And so Wescoe drew a Swamp, which is a big draw that turns his Lingering Souls back on.
Yeah, one of his cards is Intangible Virtue, or is that Gather? All of them look really similar. It's stamped.
I think it's Intangible Virtue.
I think it's Intangible Virtue. Is it? Yep, Intangible Virtue. Not really a threat on this board.
Cast this nothing. What do you think?
Okay, and really trying to bait a counterspell.
Yep.
Is he going to bite? No, he's not. But Champion of the Parish, every bit as big as Delver, so Brandon will have to do something against this. The question is, if he can... he needs to turn the race in his favor. Rune Chanter's Pike goes a decent amount of the way toward that.
Right.
But Wescoe with 5 power in play to Brandon's 3, and Wescoe's ahead on the board.
Yep.
This is where the beauty of Vapor Snag, I think, can come into play, but he doesn't have it yet.
And the Dissipate's a little fumbly right now, and I'm not sure how good that card is on the draw usually. Basically, Brandon got time walked last turn because Wescoe didn't play anything to induce it. And, Wescoe's perfectly happy to play this game. He's just going to hit him for a bunch, and he's just going to slow roll his spells, get to a point where he can cast 2 impactful spells in one turn, or keep bleeding out with these low impact cards.
But I do think those big things that Wescoe, where he drew O-Ring here, and you might say, well, he should do nothing, make Brandon move. But the thing which he has to worry about is if Brandon, end-step Vapor Snags or end-step Snapcaster Vapor Snags. I think Wescoe needs to continue casting the O-Ring.
Yeah, he can't just sit.
Yeah, he has to make Brandon use his mana because there's a lot of really bad things Brandon can do with the mana, and that's going to have to draw the Dissipate.
Well, it's yeah. That's still
You
better.
can't let it resolve.
That's better for Wescoe than the alternative. So that was a Snapcaster Leak, and then untap with Dissipate still in the mid. That could have been a way worse situation.
Interesting, you made the choice to go for that instead of the O-Ring. I think the O-Ring probably would have also drawn out the Dissipate.
Well, I think the issue is he wants to get to a spot. If he draws a 5th land next turn, then he can make 2 plays. He can flash his Lingering Souls and cast Oblivion Ring. So I think it's an efficiency issue.
It's actually a very good play. All right, so and timely reinforcements. That is huge. That I think that changes the race. I think in Brandon's favor right there.
Right. I mean, I think that Wescoe's in still pretty reasonable shape if he draws a land this turn. Assuming there's Oblivion Ring on the Insect 6, he has 2 3/3 Vigilance Flyers, and his guy is still back.
Yeah, Brandon needs that intangible virtue cannot resolve. And 3 Pokemon become 3 soldier tokens. Craig going down to 8. And does Chreptyk have the mana leak?
No, I think he would have. I think he would have leaked last turn. I think he has Invisible Stalker and then the 2 pikes.
So he has 2 pikes.
Yeah. So Wescoe really needs a land this turn, and then even that, there's no promise that that's going to be enough for him to win the race.
Only 3 instants in the yard for Brandon means that there's a sure 4 damage coming.
Well, Wescoe drew an Intangible Virtue, which also is quite good here.
Right.
So I think he wants to. I think he definitely wants to attack with both of his guys.
Yeah, it doesn't have too many decisions to make here. Yeah, that 6-point life swing really relevant. He wants to make sure that Chreptyk can't win on the swing back. So if he only makes 2 creatures here, then 1 creature will won't trade. We'll be able to eat the Delver. Then it'll be 4, 5 off the Stalker, 2 off the 2 unblocked tokens. So in theory, Wescoe will be alive, only going to 1. But that's presuming that Brandon doesn't have an instant or sorcery in his hand.
Asking for a lot.
Yeah.
Well, we know that his hand is actually 2 pikes, which is, as far as these can go, about as good as he could really hope for.
So actually, Wescoe has he doesn't actually know that he's about to face down a pike. The block happens there. Wescoe's just going to play out his hand in the only way that he really can. Make another Intangible Virtue, make 2 1/1 flyers. Let's do this.
This is 2 4/4 flyers.
2 4/4 flyers. Right. little different. Though not lethal, unfortunately. So.
Alright, so that draw was a brick.
It was what?
It was a brick. It was a Seachrome Coast.
Okay. And remember, next turn, with the 2nd pike, Wescoe definitely dead. He's going to have to win on this turn.
Yep.
He's going to try to O-ring the pike. The problem is that there's another pike waiting for him.
Yep.
And can he get there? Only with 8 in the air. I don't know what draws he actually has to get himself out of this. Vault of the Archangel. That would be a sweet draw.
Yeah, Vault would be insane. Vault would be insane.
He has 2 of those. I don't think he drew it.
No, I don't think he would have been. I don't think he would be tanking about this.
Outside of that, I don't know what he has he can draw to get out of this. He can try for the O-ring, but yeah, there's going to be, another one waiting. So Chreptyk at 12 with a 2nd pike in his hand. I think we're going to see him get this one.
Yep. Wescoe tanking about his attacks here.
Alright. Last card he drew another Anthem, I believe? Can't be.
I mean, I think he's supposed to send everything here.
Well, I don't know if he has another play. Yep.
Right.
Everything is sent. But it's not lethal. He's going to O-ring the pike, but it's not going to be enough.
The 2nd pike is going to go.
2nd pike's going to get him. Chreptyk knows this. Probably will block with the Delver as well. Well, there's no need.
Well, the problem is that blocking with the Delver might actually tip off Wescoe that something's up. Like, imagine you have Day of Judgment in your hand. Then you might actually fire it off because this block is too suspicious otherwise.
Well, but there's a Moorland Haunt in play. Can you win if you cast Day of Judgment? I don't think so. I mean, it might tip off that something's up, but something's up, Yep, happy to put it there. He knows he doesn't have an answer.
And there's the 2nd pike.
Craig with no answer. That's going to be game.
Yep.
All right, 2 to
There it
1.
is.
Brandon Chreptyk is your Star City Open.
Congratulations.
Star City Salt Lake City Open over Craig Wescoe.
Craig fought the good fight there.
Getting through